is the Black Quarantine Report. Give me just a moment. We're just going to make sure that everything is syncing up and going where it needs to go. And it is. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Black Quarantine Report. I am your host, Kim Brio. And today's episode probably looks a little different because I'm filling your entire screen and you're like, okay, she's by herself and I didn't see any promos today. And it's just me today. And it's just me because today is the 1 month anniversary of Black Quarantine Report. I am so happy to reach this milestone for numerous reasons. Um, First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who has allowed me to interview them over this past month. I'm going to get to mentioning them in a moment. But today's episode is called Black Lemonade. And today's episode is called Black Lemonade because I've had the opportunity to do, I want to say 12, I want to say a good dozen episodes. And in talking to all of these people, there are some very clear things that I believe the Black community can do. And to be honest, most of these are actually going to apply to most people in general. But there are a lot of things that I think that we can do during this time to come out in a better place than where we left. And I've kind of taken all of these interviews that I've done in and cooked them up, and I was like, yo, this is the list right here. Shout out to my branded cards. If you do need some cards branded for your show, let me know. I can do that for you. Like, I know you can't see the writing or whatever, but like it's got your logo and oh, there we go. If I go further, you see it. And it's got lines for you to write in so that you can write the notes for your show. So if you are doing, something like this, it just gives it a nice little finishing touch. Done with the shameless promo. I'm back anyway. But today's episode is called Black Lemonade. So for anyone who's watching for the first time, Black Quarantine Report is a show where we interview and talk to influential Black people from across the nation. And we just kind of talk to them about their experience in regards to the pandemic and this COVID-19 situation. We, number one, first talk about their personal experience, where, like, how when did they first start taking it seriously? First and foremost is pretty much a question that I ask every single guest. Did you take it serious from the beginning? What kind of precautions were you taking? Their personal experience, if it's affected their business, their personal life, etc. If they've had any losses around them, etc. We then go into the effects of it. And when we get to the effects, we don't just talk about them. We talk about the Black community as a whole, because that's the purpose of what the Black Quarantine Report is for. The Black Quarantine Report is for a central place to be the voice of the Black people right now during a time when we have the time. We have the time. So it's important to discuss certain things and work on certain things, etc. So we talk about the effects of this quarantine on the Black community as well. And then we talk about the lemonade. We always talk about how they personally are taking the situation and making it the best for them. And then we also talk about how the Black community can make lemonade. And that is what we're going to focus on today. That's today's episode, the Black Lemonade. So if you have not seen past episodes, fret not, you have not missed them. If you go to blackquarantinereport.com, all of the past episodes are there. A lot of them, if you click, it'll literally pop up in the site. You don't even have to leave the site. If you don't want to do that, you can go to youtube.com, search Black Quarantine Report. All of the episodes are there, as well as on Facebook. So if you haven't seen them, it's a chance for you to see them. I want to take this quick opportunity before we jump into everything that we're doing to shout out some of the dope guests that I have had on the show. This has definitely been a time where I've taken the opportunity to introduce you guys to people that I believe are influential and have a voice that's worth something. And also I threw a couple like big shots out there, like I'm gonna see if they'll interview, and they actually did. So I just want to take a moment to shout out every guest that has been on Black Quarantine Report. First of all, Corey Ether, Bro, you are doing it. You are pushing. Congratulations to everything that you're doing. I definitely watched episode 1 of season 6 of Empire yesterday just because I wanted to be like, I know him. I'm just proud of you. I'm proud of everything that you're doing, and I'm excited for everything we have coming in the future. Alana Deville. Miss Alana, you are doing it. I had a ball interviewing you. I had a ball getting to know you, and I look forward to working with you in the future, even with our it's white grape this time on deck, Alana. But you know, that's us. Shout out to Mike Jones from 23 Centuries Media down in Florida. We had a wonderful interview, and transparently, guys, we have been in contact since then, working and cooking up some other big things for media and for the culture. So I'm excited about that. Shout out to you, Mike. Shout out to Mushim Soup. Moot, shout out to you, Ma. That was definitely one of my favorite episodes. We definitely covered a lot of different things and the different aspects of how this situation is going and how we should handle it. You have definitely changed a lot of perspectives personally within my household. I want to thank you. Tyson Smith of Facebook's 30 and Up Doing Us. Shout out. Thank you for coming on the show. Shout out to you and your wife. I've begun cultivating a relationship with you guys as well. So I definitely appreciate you guys. Nikita Nisi. I really don't know if it's Nikki, if it's Nietzsche, if it's Nis. But I know you're dope. That's what I do know. And this guys was one of the ones where I just threw the ball and I was like, she gonna say no. But she said yes. I just want to thank you for taking the time to do the show. We definitely covered a lot of things in different perspectives that people didn't think of, especially in regards to illnesses that people already have and underlying illnesses. I just thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you again in the future. My sis, Ms. Michi, CEO of the Blueprint Media Company, owner of the Blueprint Radio, which is a part of Takeover Thursdays, which we're going to be talking about shortly. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We definitely discussed some things and you opened my eyes to some personal things on that episode, one of which is actually what we're going to get into today. Part of what we're going to get into today, which is in regards to showing our fellow Blacks sympathy as opposed to judgment. Sympathy as opposed to judgment. Huge. Remus Jackson IV from the 850 Life. Thank you so much for coming on and discussing finances with us at a time like this when it's important and we really need to kind of understand what we need to be doing. And then kind of clearing up some of the bases of credit repair and financial literacy for us as Black people. Y'all, Danny Canada from Bossip. Danny was the biggest interview I reached out for, and I was like, I'm gonna just try and see what she says. And shout out to my soror, Skiwi. Thank you so much for saying yes. It was an awesome interview, and it was really dope to kind of get some inside scoop with some people that were a little deeper in the media, that knew a little bit earlier than we do. I just thank you for the opportunity for the interview, and it was a dope show. To the Tylers, Ashley and David, our one couple interview that were the preview of what it looks like to be a couple in this quarantine life and what that looks like with homeschooling and with kids. We had a lot of fun, and I think I kind of pulled out a calling that you guys may have. We'll unpack that later, but I thank you for doing the show. It was awesome, and it was one of our highest viewed shows ever. To Dennis Snipe, station manager at WKKC FM at Kennedy King College, host of Focus Talk TV and Focus Talk Radio. Dennis, thank you so much for coming. You left us with a prescription for crisis that literally changed my mindset. You spoke in ways and from avenues that I don't think I was ready for. I don't think a lot of us were ready for, but they were the realities. And I left in a different place mentally than I was. So thank you for coming on the show. And last but not least, shout out to Sinatra's for coming on the show. My most recent guest this past Tuesday. Thank you so much. We jumped into business, branding, what we should and shouldn't be doing. I got to be honest with y'all. I had the chance to interview Sinatra, so I was trying to get some branding advice more. We discussed more of that than the quarantine report, so I apologize, but it was a dope interview nonetheless. So definitely go watch it. It was just less Rona related. But that was a dope interview, and I look forward to working with you in the future. So jumping in here, like I said, today's episode is called the Black lemonade. So let me unpack the Black lemonade for you. The Black lemonade being, and of course, I am a Beyonce fan, judge your mama, okay? Love Beyonce. But the Black lemonade is, how are we taking these lemons that have been given to us? That is this pandemic, this place of quarantine, this place of social chaos, to be quite frank. How do we take this and try to make the best of it? Especially we have people that are close to us, around us, that are passing, this, that, and the third. If you're going to live through this, how do you take this and try to not only survive it, but thrive through it? And I believe that that's what Black lemonade is, and that's what I want to discuss with you today. So the reason that it's so important to be active right now is because I think that it's no secret that we understand that the Black community in America is underserviced, is underprivileged. We are making strides. We are kicking behind. We have done things in certain amounts of time that I don't necessarily think would be done in other places all the time, where, less than 100 years ago, we didn't have, Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black, we have done immensely. We have become the pulse of pop culture, not Black culture, pop culture. We've done a lot, but I think that we would be remiss not to understand that there are definitely lots of strides that we have left to take, both within our community and toward our community, that are still there left to take. And that's where this Black lemonade comes in. So the idea is, we are in a place right now, you guys, I need you to understand the first thing I want to say, and the first thing I want you to take note of. We are in an even playing field right now. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few examples so that you clearly understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to take media, for example. Okay. I went to college for media. I've been aspiring media, this, that, and the third. I've tried, not tried, when I lived a regular life, came back, whatever, decided I want to do podcasts, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I came full circle to media, and I have my own media company. And that's where I was when this pandemic started. Okay. Transparently, I was not producing media to the amount that I should. Okay. Meaning, like, I had like 2 shows over 3 months. Come on, bro. But I was very fixated on finding the perfect camera, finding the perfect place, finding the perfect this, the perfect that. I needed it to be perfect. And if it wasn't going to be perfect, I didn't want to do it. And then this pandemic hit. And Robin Roberts did GMA from the crib. And Kelly and Ryan started doing their shows from the crib. And Wendy Williams started doing her show from the kitchen table. And The Real started doing their show from the crib. And Jimmy Kimmel and everyone else. And I said, Kim, if you're going to do it, now would be the time. You have no excuses, right? The playing field is more leveled. You're not going to skip over this show. I got 13 viewers on this one. I'm not sure about the other 3 streams that I have going on, but you're not going to skip over this broadcast because you're more conditioned to say, okay, I can at least listen to what they're saying versus just looking at the visuals of it. Okay. So I said, if I don't do a show right now, I'm stupid. Transparently, everybody's not going to be here. Let me say that. I don't have children. I am divorced. I live cozy with my parents. I don't have to pay them rent if I choose not to. My car is paid off. So let me be clear that there are different situations that made me say, for me, I would be ridiculous not to take this opportunity. Okay. So understand that I'm not trying to hold anybody else to the standards that I have. I don't have a lot of the things that and situations that a lot of people have that are dealing with. Okay. Then again, I have a lot that y'all are not, but that's another show for another time. Okay. That's, trust me, another whole show for another time. But using that as an example for the Black community, y'all, we even now, I need you guys to understand there are certain industries that are not going to come back from this. There are certain companies that are not going to come back from this. What does that mean? When this evens out, there is still demand that has to be made, and that space is empty. We have space. If we're doing all of this complaining about not having Black businesses, not having Black opportunities, and not having Black brands, you guys, now, right now is the time. There are situations and corporations that are not going to make it out of this. Those spaces have to be filled, whether it be from one large entity or a whole bunch of small ones. Get on your shit. If you are a Black entrepreneur, this is your time. Even if you're not a Black entrepreneur, if you're someone who cares about the general consciousness of where we are as a people, this is a time where the playing field is a little more level. And I truly believe that the efforts that we put forth will go further versus the traditional times that we have. With that being said, if there's a time to take action and make Black lemonade, it's now. And that's why the show exists. That is why we're talking about this, okay? So the first thing I'm going to jump into, I just dabbled a little bit into it, is start essential Black businesses, guys. Essential Black businesses. And I'm not knocking any other businesses. The businesses that I run could arguably be or not be essential. But if you are someone who is versed enough or trained enough to start an essential business, meaning a business that people have to use every single day, people have to or choose to use every single day, this is the time to begin that. Because this is the point in time where any holes, any brands or businesses that were already like hanging by a cusp, they're not going to make it through this. That space needs to be filled. That's where you come in. We have an opportunity now as Black-owned businesses to not just be Black-owned businesses. If we play our cards right, y'all, we're just great running businesses that fulfill this essential need. If you are a Black-owned business and you can, I need you. It is imperative for you to get up from your Netflix and your Hulu and do what you need to do to take your business to the next level, not just for you, but for us as a whole. Note, I said, if you can. I understand that sickness has to do with things. I understand that people have outside responsibilities. I understand that people have emotional illnesses and mental illnesses. If you cannot, I'm not talking to you. So I don't need you coming for me. But if you're watching Netflix because you choose to, and you can do more, get off your ass and do it for the entire community. This is the time. Seriously. Next, repair our Black families. I think that the deconstruction of the family, there's an obvious deconstruction of the Black family, okay? And we're not even going to go deep down into that rabbit hole. But I think some of the obvious things that we can state are obviously that it can be argued that there was a very obvious effort from above to deconstruct the Black family by sending mass males, Black males into the system, into the justice system, as well as equipping African-American women to make it easier for us to survive outside of a family unit versus within a family unit. I think that those are things that need not be explained. I also think that it need not be explained outside of just the Black community. In America, I can't speak for other countries, I don't live there. But in America, it has grown from having family dinners, having family interaction, having family game nights, to that being completely pretty much non-existent. If families do sit down and if families do have dinner, quite often there's a phone, there's a tablet. I mean, we're inundated with that. When we're at a time where your attention can't be pulled away from that, this is really the time to repair our families, repair our family units. If you are blessed enough to be quarantined with your family, this is the time to make an initiative, a conscious effort to build your family unit. Now, if your family unit is already strong, like my family unit was already, we solid, we mess with each other before this. But I'm taking this time to cultivate and do things. For me, I live with my parents, my older parents. Your parents ain't gonna be here forever. So I'm taking this time to go do things that I normally wouldn't do. I wouldn't make time to go say, look, Ma, I found this Netflix movie and I think we will all like it. I'm going to sit on y'all bed, y'all sit in y'all chairs, and we're going to watch this together. Take this time to rebuild the family unit. If y'all got to talk and get some stuff out, talk and get it out. If you got to call some family that you're not necessarily quarantined with and get that together. If we as a Black community, part of an essential part of this Black lemonade is, and I can't remember who I was talking to, I think it was Mushim Sue's interview, but we got to the end and she said, imagine if all of these Black familial units, while we're quarantined and we're separate, imagine if we all became stronger and had a stronger foundation. The positive effect on the world outside of that would be obvious, quite frankly. Use this time, the second thing, to repair our Black families. The next thing I'm going to say, and this applies to everyone, and I will say this is not just a Black community thing, this is a societal thing, because if we all do this individually, then as a society, we'll be in a better place. Repair your relationship with you. Repair your relationship with yourself, how you treat, think, and interact with yourself. Because if we all did self-work, how we interact with everyone else in every form and asset would be completely different. So I need you to do self-work during this time. If you don't know how to meditate because you don't know how your brain's going to stop talking to myself, this is the time to learn how to meditate. If you don't know how to spend time with yourself, and that's why you're always working, you're always watching a movie, you always had to be in the streets, you always had to, and I'm going to apply this to the previous one too with your family. If you were always in the streets because you were avoiding being with your family, if it is not an unhealthy relationship of abuse, build your relationship. Pivot back to this one. Build your relationship. Stop watching Netflix and Hulu and binging and doing all of this stuff in an effort to not have to think, not have to unpack, not have to spend time with yourself. Seriously. This is a time to spend time with you. If you are a person who knows how to spend time with yourself, then this one ain't for you and you're good. And during this time, you're just spending time with yourself until this is over. If you're a person who doesn't know how to spend time with yourself, this time is hell. Use it as a learning lesson. Recognize and use it as a learning lesson. Next, show each other more sympathy and less judgment. This I remember particularly was the interview that I did with Ms. Michi. Shout out to Sis and the Blueprint Radio. If you did not tune in for Takeover Thursdays, because Takeover Thursdays has 3 shows, because we're going to get to that. But if you have not tuned in to the Blueprint Radio, when you get done with this, I need you to go to Gary Pointer Boot Camp Radio, where we're going to get it in tonight for Takeover Thursdays. And then if you haven't caught Blueprint, I need you to run it back, because from now on, we're taking over your Thursdays. Blueprint Radio from 6 to 8, Black Quarantine Report from 8 to 9, and Gary Pointer from 9 until whenever he feel like he done spinning, because that's what boot camp do. So, but this was Michi's show. And Michi definitely said we need to show more sympathy and empathy toward each other in the community. And I was personally convicted with this. And I think that we have come into a place of these niggas, where we're seriously all the time from a place of judgment versus understanding and trying to sympathize with our fellow Black people for the sake of the community, because it's not just about you. It's not just about you. I think that it's important and imperative that we learn how to show more sympathy and understanding for our community members who really have, thank God we're in 2020 and we're in a place where a lot of us don't have the cliche poverty-driven experience. But that does not mean that we can ignore the African Americans and the Black people who are still driven by that or have still had to deal with that. That's not real, you know? And I think that before we come from a place of beat up what they need to do right, this, that, and the third, I think that before we even go down that solution path, I think that it would be imperative as we as a community completely understood and genuinely ingrained Black sympathy and empathy towards our community, everybody in our community, even the ones that threw the house party that I want to smack out of. We got to show Black sympathy and empathy and try to understand from other points of view why they did what they did, even though it was stupid. We ain't gonna get into it. Definitely go check out Misha's show because she jumped into it in depth. But using that as an example, we got to show Black sympathy and empathy before we jump on the beating up bandwagon. Okay. The next thing, I'm going to use that same situation as an example. This came from Mike Jones' interview. We got to leave the sheep where they at. Let me unpack that. All of these things, I kept coming to this question at the end of all of my interviews, and I would be like, so what do we do? How do we bring the ones that don't understand? How do we bring them around? And how do we get to them? And Mike was like, it ain't for everybody. And at some point, we have to understand that we're never going to all as a Black community be on one accord. We're always going to have Black sheep. And I hate to use Black sheep. I don't even want to use that because that's derogatory, that saying, even in me saying it now, but we're always going to have bad apples. There you go. We're always going to have bad apples in the bunch. If we get so bogged down and tied to bringing them over, we're never going to get any closer to our solution because we're always going to be in the same place trying to talk to the same people and trying to tell them the same thing. And there are some people where no matter how much common sense or evidence you give them, it will not matter. They're still going to operate as such. So we have to leave the sheep where they are. That don't mean don't love them. If you was a praying person, that don't mean don't pray for them. But we have to get to a point where our mindsets shift from bringing everyone on one accord to, okay, the people whose mindsets are on one accord, what then do we do to begin to bring solutions to the community as a whole as much as we can, okay? So we got to leave the sheep behind. Some of that hurts. It hurts, I know. But we have to leave them behind for the sake of the whole, okay? And the last thing I'm going to say is really simple. And this has been a pretty quick show. I'd say about 30 minutes. Mind you, I don't have a guest. So that's what happens. But the last one, I really want you guys to support your small, parentheses, Black businesses. Now, let me unpack that. I put Black in parentheses because I do think that right now it is very imperative to help your small businesses in general as much as possible. I don't care who owns it. If it's a small business and it's not necessarily a big box or a conglomerate, I think that we need to be doing what we can as much as possible to actively support those businesses, okay? Stated, cool, we got it, everybody? Don't want no BS from nobody. We got it. Perfect. Moving on to my Black community. When at all possible, make that small business Black. Not only are we at a time where there are not a lot of businesses that are going to survive, we are also at a time where there are some essential Black businesses that are in a place where we could take some really major places on the map. Really major places on the map. Because again, just like I said at the beginning of the show, everyone's not going to survive this thing, okay? So if you can at all possible buy your mask from a Black-owned business, do it. If you can order your food on DoorDash from a restaurant that you know is Black-owned, do it. If you need something and you need a website and you was about to go pay Wix $200 a year, find somebody on your friends list that does websites and do it. Oh, I do have a 2-day sale on that, by the way. $150 for one-page landing pages. Go visit branditwithkim.com. That's branditwithkim.com. Shameless plug, pull it back anyway. If you're going to go pay someone for something before you spend that money, I really need you to consider if you have a Black resource within your network, which is so much easier because we all live on social media now, that you can give that money to. If you don't know of someone off the top of your head, but you have a minute and you don't need it tomorrow, go on there on Facebook and ask for a recommendation. Hey, do you guys know? And you don't even have to say Black. Do you know any such and such and such and such? Go through those resources. And if you can support a Black owned business, do it. We as Black people have to move from a place of ambiguous charges. Let me unpack this. Ambiguous charges are those charges that we throw at the Black community as a whole. And because we throw it at us as a whole, very few of us actually catch on to it and take it as a charge. Enough of that. We are not in that place anymore. We are in a very fragile place where we can either come out of this situation worse, the same, or better. Worse, I ain't gonna make an option, and I think it's too many of us around that's not gonna make that an option. The same would suck. To survive something like this and come out the same, I said this in my first video that I did for COVID-19, Common Sense Coronavirus, to survive something like this and not come out different in some kind of way would be tragic. But guys, we can come out of this better. But if we do, we need that active determination. We need that active determination, just like they have for the Montgomery bus boycott. We need that active determination, just like they had. Listen, actually, I don't even have to pull another example. I'm gonna just use the Montgomery bus boycott. The Montgomery bus boycott, and this is a meme that I saw. So let me be clear: if it's not the exact number of days, critical thinkers, I need you to not hop in the comments and try to debunk everything that I'm saying based on the fact that I say 388 versus 374 or 362 or whatever. Okay, but the meme that I saw, I believe it said 388 days. It was that African Americans stayed put and did what they had to do in regards to the Montgomery bus boycott. For those of you who are not aware, Montgomery, Alabama, this is from Rosa Parks. She refused to move to the back of the bus, was arrested. Black said, this is okay. Okay, we're going to boycott the buses until they say we can ride wherever we want to ride. And it did not take 2 weeks. It did not take a month. It didn't take 6 months. It didn't take 9 months. It didn't take 10 months. 388 days that they had to diligently refuse for the sake of the community. That meant that they had to make an individual sacrifice. They had to walk miles to work or pull a carpool together. They had to walk to get their groceries. And when they went to get their groceries, they probably got more because they didn't know the next time they was going to go to the store. Sound familiar? They had to make individual personal sacrifices for the sake of the entire Black community. Y'all, we have to step outside of ourselves and understand that we have to make individual sacrifices for that of the whole. And that individual sacrifice, I laid out in a lot of these things. They're very simple. I'm gonna run through them. Number one, if you can and you have the means to start an essential Black business or grow an essential Black business, it is your duty to do so. Number two, it is your duty to repair the Black family, who you're quarantined with and who you're not. Number three, it is time to repair ourselves as individuals. Spend time with you so that you have a solid foundation. Number four, we need as Black people to show each other more sympathy and empathy versus judgment. Five, we have to understand that we have to leave some of the sheep behind. We can pray for them, but we have to move forward. And last but not least, support your fellow small Black businesses. Don't tell me you don't know them. They are on your timeline right now. They are posting about the services that they have to offer, the t-shirts they're selling, the graphic designs they're doing, the promotional opportunities they're giving, the virtual events that they're selling tickets to. They're doing it. Support your fellow Black businesses so that we as a community can grow out of this place better than how we came in. And that is your Black lemonade. So thank you for tuning in to today's Black Quarantine Report. The next Black Quarantine Report will be next Tuesday. What date is that, guys? So look at this. This is show on the go. Next Tuesday, the 5th. So May 5th is the date of the next Black Quarantine Report. I'm not 100% sure who's going to be there, but I have some inklings. Same for the 7th, next Thursday. So go right now to blackquarantinereport.com. Enter your email address so that you don't miss any episodes. Subscribe on YouTube and go to @BlackRonaReport on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and follow everything. As always, I am your host, Kim Brio, and I would love it if you followed me too. You can follow me at I am Kim Brio. That's KIMBRIO on all of your socials. Share this episode. Share anything that you see for Black Quarantine Report. Share your fellow Black businesses posts. If you can't buy nothing, the next best thing you can do is share it on your wall. Okay, y'all? So sending you mad love. Now, this is where I said we were going to talk. I know y'all heard that phone slide across the table. It's Takeover Tuesdays. So the Chicago Media Conglomerate is a freshly founded organization by my girl, Demetria Ms. Michi Brown. And I'm so excited. A large part and factor of it are myself, Ms. Michi, and the Blueprint Media Company. Is Ms. Michi and Blueprint Media Company, myself and Sosa & Co., and Gary P. and Bootcamp Radio. We are taking over your Thursday. So from 6 to 8, you get the Blueprint Radio. From 8 to 9, you get the Black Quarantine Report. And from 9 until he feel like he done spinning, you get Gary P. and Bootcamp Radio. You do not want to miss it. So the easiest way to make sure you capture everything is to go on Facebook and like Chicago Media Conglomerate. Chicago Media Conglomerate, okay? Go and follow it right now. You will be able to catch all of our shows. And I am excited because I'm about to go refill my wine glass so that I can get ready for Gary P's turn up tonight, because I think he said he's going to do some reggae. And I don't know. He said a couple different things, but I heard reggae and that's all I needed to hear. And I was like, wine on deck. So y'all, definitely it is Takeover Thursdays. Every Thursday, do not forget, this is what you need to be doing. You always about to have the lineup on Thursdays, y'all. So shout out to Chicago Media Conglomerate. Go and like the page now. Shout out to Ms. Michi. Go and follow her on the socials at Ms. Michi. Shout out to Gary P. You can follow Gary at Gary the DJ. That's Gerry. Don't go put in Gary. No, Gerry, okay? But y'all all know who Bootcamp Radio is anyway, so y'all already follow him. But if you're not, get on that right now. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Share, follow. Check out all of the past episodes. You got a good 12 or 13 hours of content. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.